I'm real proud of our guys, you know. If you're willing to fight, like the old saying says, sometimes the bear gets you and sometimes you get the bear. And today the bear got us. But that's who we were up until January the 3rd. That's who we were. And that's what we're working to refine, kind of rediscover our team. And I think we did that after whoever the heck we just played before. Tennessee? Is that our last game? Right after that game, I think we figured out that we needed to rediscover ourselves. And we've done that for the last 2 days of practice. I couldn't be prouder of the fight, the attention to detail, the one that we played with today. And you know, it's hard to beat anybody, let alone #1 team in the country, when you shoot 22%. But if our fight is what it needs to be, we'll be okay.
Mike?
Frank, you kind of answered a little bit of my question here, but what did you tell your guys after the loss, and now sort of falling into a 1-5 hole, the guys kind of hanging their heads? What's the attitude like right now?
No, we're not going to hang our heads. That's not going to happen. Anyone that ever hangs their head around me, our relationship gets severed pretty fast. And we never talk about our record. I'd probably be just as disappointed if we were 5-1. I don't pay attention to records. I pay attention to the pulse of our team. It's what I try to do. I kind of lost that the first 2 weeks of January. I got wrapped up on our record a little bit, and I cheated our team those first 2 weeks. If we can do here's what happens. Because we played like that for 6 weeks, that aggression allowed us to win games. So when you're winning and you're playing with that aggression, everybody feels good. So then the ball starts going in the basket. And the more you work at it, we're in Christmas time, so there's no class. So shooting, all the extra work is mandatory. So guys come in and practice and make shots. They see the ball go in the net. So now the game starts, and you shoot it, it's second nature. You're not hesitant. Well, we've kind of gotten away from all that ever since we got back to classes here. And that's part of it. That's what happens with young guys. They're trying to understand how to win. They forget on what helped you win, and they start thinking that winning is about them. And that's where I've tried to do a better job here for the last 10 days to get them refocused on what helped us. And if we can play that hard with that kind of unity, toughness, attention to detail, and it's not good enough at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. What's not okay is for us not to lay it on the floor the way we did today. And we stopped doing that, and I think we're starting to do a better job of that again. That's the only thing we worry about.
Dave?
Frank, just how difficult is it when you're seeming to get the looks and you're doing what you want offensively, but it's just not going in the hole? Just what do you tell your guys, to keep shooting, or just say be confident, or what?
It's not much you can do. You know, they're doing everything they can. So, you know, Kentucky's good. Kentucky's good. They're real good defensively, and we got some looks, and we just wouldn't make them. The only stretch that we didn't play very good offensively was the last 4 minutes of the half. We took the lead, and the arena started going nuts, and our guys got wrapped up on the emotion that we had the lead, the arena, and we got away from our thought process on offense. And we started attacking their defense on the first and second pass. You got no chance. And they took it, and they made us take bad shots, had a couple turnovers that they just got breakaways on, and they created that 10-point gap, and it just stayed there the whole game. And I said this on the radio here a minute ago, and what happens when you're playing Kentucky's defense is if you don't score early, you better not try to attack it on the first and second pass. But when you're down 10, 11, 12, and you start getting late in the game, you can't run possessions for 30 seconds anymore. So you got to start attacking sooner. And if you don't get lucky and make some of those, then their defense is so good and they're so athletic that they start attacking you. And our fight was good, man. I was so proud of our guys today. Our fight was good.
Frank, as somebody that values defense,
I guess I'm asking you to elaborate on their defense and what makes it so difficult.
Whew. You know, Jerry, I told my freshman point guard after the game, which, by the way, he's a special kid, you know, fearless. You know, I said, I told you for 2 days of practice, if you drive them early and transition, go. Do what you got to do as you're running. But when they're set, if you drive them on the first or second pass, you're going to get swallowed up by size. So if you start driving the ball, because it's not the 7-foot guy at the rim that's the problem, the guy guarding him is 6'6", 6'7", too. So now you drive that, and you're like, okay, there's the help. Let me pass. Well, I can't see the pass because when I look that way, it's 7 feet. When I look this way, it's 6'7". So you're swallowed up by size, and that's why they're good. They're so big at every spot, and they're athletic. And here's where, Jerry, you've heard me say this, and I'll continue to say it, and I don't say it. Our job is to beat Kentucky. That's who we got to become, a team that's good enough to go beat them, to be good enough to go nose to nose with them every single day. I respect the heck out of John Calipari. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. I've heard people say he can't coach. What a joke. But you can say he's, in today's day and age, where all these kids are about themselves, not because that's what they believe in, it's what they've been led to believe in, it's about them. He takes those kids and he gets them to sacrifice and play for one another, as well as anyone in the country. And that's what we strive to do as coaches, and he does it with the real good players. And you're seeing the team this year, it's got upperclassmen, sophomores, imagine that. and now their little breakdowns that they had last year, they don't have them anymore, because those kids have been through it, they understand, and Cal doesn't allow them to get away with it. And so now they've got, you know, upperclassmen that guard you, and then they come in off the bench with very talented freshmen that understand what it takes, because they got to practice against those guys every single day. And he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Follow up on your previous point about their length. Do you see players, your own or team, acting out of character because just their sheer size and the kind of looks you can normally get?
If you don't, to answer the immediate question, yes. If you're like our freshman, he freaked out. You understand what he tried to attack, and I told him for 2 days of practice, but you know, you got to think about 6 months ago, he was worried about a prom. Now he's trying to drive the #1 team in the country. You know, so he realized today that, wow, I probably should have done that. But that's okay, because he's a great kid, and he's going to be great. Hopefully he'll be an upperclassman one day for us, too, and he'll learn from it. The second part is today I thought our team tried to get the shots we talked about getting. We ran the offense we talked about trying to run against a unbelievably good defensive team. We just didn't make shots. And you know, we've got, you're going to make some mistakes during the course of the game when you play real good teams. It's part of the deal. But we got to make some shots. We just when you do get an opportunity against a team like Kentucky, you got to make it. You know, and we didn't.
2 games ago against Auburn, you're talking about rebounding. And, you know, the past 2 games, you've won the rebounding, but just talk about the effort of your guys against arguably one of the best rebounding teams in the country.
That's all I ever asked for, man. I had so much fun coaching today, and we lost. And I'm so proud of our guys, and we lost. Because all I ever asked for is for guys to sacrifice as hard as they can to control the things that they can control. The demeanor with which they go after the ball, the effort with which they screen, the effort with which they cut. And then you have to find the confidence as a player to make shots when you're open. But we lost that mojo. We were doing that pretty good. We were a real good rebounding team up until we left New York. And we lost it. And that's why we've lost games. You know, we didn't lose today because of our effort. We didn't lose today because of our demeanor. We lost today because we played a real good basketball team and we didn't make shots. We have to focus in, Brian, on sustaining that. And that's what we're trying to work to find.
Coach, you were talking about aggressiveness, and Sin came out really aggressive. It seems like he's getting back to his old self. How big is that for this team?
Sin's been fine, man. I said this on the radio, and I'm not trying to take a shot at you in any way, but I'm really tired of answering the question about what's wrong with Sindarius. Sindarius is a great kid. We need other guys on the team to play the way he's playing, so he doesn't have to play 39 minutes a game, so he doesn't have to get so wore out at the end of the game that now defensively he's exhausted. Offensively now he can't make that play when you need him to because he's so tired. Sin's fine. Every team is different. Every player's role changes every single year. And he's a sophomore. He's been aggressive. What we've been trying to do is make him understand how to be more aggressive at certain times of the game. He's been so willing to share and pass and move that because, he doesn't shoot it 20 times, people are like, oh, he's not aggressive. No, he's got to learn when to be aggressive. And, he's got some new teammates. He's got some older teammates. And he's been fighting his tail off to find that aggressiveness and when to do it and when not to do it. And we as a team are starting to do a better job of that, and so is he.
Joe. Coach, you talked about wanting to sustain what you've seen today in the last couple of days from an energy level, paying attention to detail. How do you go about doing that moving forward when you don't take on a team like Kentucky at home in front of a sellout, Jim?
We don't practice because of the opponent. We never talk about how we play because of who we play. And we definitely don't play a certain way because there's people in the stands. We would play a pickup game in an empty gym today. I would have expected our guys to play with the same focus and demeanor, whether we're playing Kentucky or a Division IX team. It's just, there's this fallacy that you bring your A game when the arena's full or you play the #1 team in the country. No, you play for your uniform. You play for the guy next to you. You play for the system that your coaches have put in place. And you invest in that every day, regardless of whether there's people in the stands, regardless of whether Dick Vitale's in the building, regardless of who the opponent is. When you get guys to learn that, that's what we're trying to learn. There's not a single guy on our team that's ever been on a winning team at the collegiate level. We're trying to learn how to handle that dynamic that we put ourselves in that position in early January. As we continue to learn, we'll understand that that's what's helped us become good, and we've got to become that more consistently.
Jerry?
Frank, a couple weeks ago, the Texas A&M coach called Booker an X factor for Kentucky. I'm wondering when a guy can hit a few outside shots, how that can impact it.
We got to play him again. But here, Jerry, let's get back to the whole point. The burden of being great is not on his shoulders every single day. He's got. I always get them confused, and it's crazy because I was with them in USA Basketball. Andrew's the point guard, right? You remember the shots Aaron Harrison was making coming down the stretch last year to help Kentucky get to where they got? Well, he's got a guy in front of him that he practices against every day that understands what it takes. So the burden is not solely on him, but God, is he good. He can, he's big. If you don't get to him, he just elevates and shoots it at, 61%? And if you get to him, like he did towards the end of the game there, he's a 1, maybe 2 dribbles, stop, jump over the top of you and make that shot. And I'm a big believer in it. As special as he is, since the burden, that daily responsibility, I call it a burden, but it's a good burden, which is the daily responsibility of understanding what it takes to win, is not on his shoulders. He's got help. So it allows him to maybe be more aggressive because it doesn't all fall on him whether he makes or misses a shot.
Last question to Larry right here at the end.
Frank, both John Calipari and a couple of players talked about how physical the game was. Was the plan to try to be more physical with Kentucky or not?
That's who we are. And that's who every team I've ever coached since 1985 has been. Every team I coached in high school, every team I coached at Kansas State, and that's who we were on January the 3rd. We didn't play physical today because it was Kentucky. We played physical today because that's going to be our personality every single day we take the court. We lost that for 3 weeks. We got beat. I'm not saying the other teams are inferior. This league, and please, since we got so much media here, stop saying the SEC's not good, okay? We got real good teams in this league, okay? Real good coaches in this league. But that's our personality. And we have to make sure that we always play to that personality. And we hadn't for 2 weeks. We had before those 2 weeks, and we did today, and our objective is to continue doing that on a consistent basis. I've been fighting for 2.5 years to find guys that want to play with that personality. We're still in the discovery process there. But 2 years ago, we had no one to understand it. Now we're starting to get guys that comprehend it. Now we have to find consistency in it.
Last call for questions. Thank you, everyone.